Hello there, everyone. Today I'm going to be cleaning some soda cans that I haven't had the chance to clean yet, making sure they're all nice to be keeping in my collection. So I'm going to be showing the process of doing that because I haven't done that yet, but I have talked about it. I'm wearing an amazing Star Wars Expanded Universe shirt today. Hopefully that shows up clearly on the live stream. But yeah, this one's for Noah because I know Noah's a big fan of Jason Solo, and I always want to be him. Hello, Liv, Pico. All right. So some of these need help more than others, especially this one, which is an older can that I saw in a mechanic's garage, and it is filled with who knows what. So that's the first one I'm going to be tackling today. There is all kinds of gunk up around the edge, and it is heavy. It is filled with like oil or something. So this is going to be a fun one to clean. But yeah, I can see a lot of gunk on the interior of this can, but hopefully it can be salvaged because it's an older can. But yeah. So I guess you're just going to watch me hunched over a sink, dumping out water from this can that is mixed with all kinds of yellowish gunk. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that, but there is this like yellowish gunk on the interior of this can, which is somewhat concerning, perhaps. If I can move the camera closer, there we are. All right. I'm gonna clean the exterior a little bit though, because it's a little gunky on the exterior of the can as well. I have a feeling this was used for cigarettes or something like that. I mean, mechanics are interesting individuals. And it smelled very smoky in there, so yeah. Yeah, there is some kind of fluid in this can. I can't tell if I'm getting it out or not. Might be too caked in to be gotten. But this is an older can, I believe. 07 it looks like. But yeah, there is some nasty yellow stuff caked up around the inside of this can. So I'll see if I can deal with it. But chances are this one might need to be thrown away, sadly. It is just really heavy because there is just absolute disgusting yellow gunk inside of here. Nasty. It's super heavy, and I don't think I can get it out. It's too caked in there to be gotten, which is unfortunate, but I shall try later. Hey, Marcel. Casually, oh dear, no. I can send you some links later of collection videos where I actually show off the collection as a whole. Or you can watch me pack them all up because I pack up like 800 cans in an hour-long video that I made a couple weeks ago. So yeah, not casually. It's a problem. It's my biggest hobby other than Star Wars. The rest of this shouldn't be too bad for cleaning though. Now this one is a little dirty. So I'm going to be taking care of that. Do what? I do not know. Yeah, exactly. I have several can collecting videos. Yeah, I don't blame you. I have like over 300 videos. Yeah, exactly. But Liv needs to be on this channel at some point. She's been on Noah's. So, yeah. This is top tier stuff right here. But this is where I'm about to use a disinfectant wipe on this one, because there's some staining on the front. I don't know if you can see it. Some black gunk that hasn't come off with water. So Lysol wipe. Now Lysol wipes give an aluminum can a weird feeling on the outside of the can. So afterwards, I make sure to use a dry paper towel because it feels like it could degrade it or something like that, or miscolor it, because it just feels weird after you use it. And if you don't get it off immediately, it stays like that. So now there's just some dirt in here that I'm trying to get. I use my fingernails to clean that off. I'm catching up. Noah and Dan so far, nice. There's your Holy Grail can, one that you own, and one that you want. I have some cans that there were only 400 or 500 made from an online competition. That was a sweepstakes thing, so those are a Holy Grail, I guess. Those are pretty rare. They were going for over $200, $300 on eBay at one point. Those are Pepsi hot chocolate, or not hot chocolate, Pepsi graham cracker, Pepsi chocolate, and Pepsi marshmallow, which was like a s'mores line that they were doing. One can that I want, that's a hard say. There was one can that was made. There was a Bass Golden Mountain Dew can, limited edition, that won you $10,000 if you found the can. I believe there's only one of them. So I didn't care about the $10,000. I just wanted the can. So that's a really hard one to find. But there is a can in Canada that I've been looking for a long time. Lime Crush, Orange Crush. But now that they've changed the design, time is running out for me to find a Lime Crush can with the old design. So I'm looking for that one. That one is probably near you. I've just never gotten it because shipping costs so much from Canada to the States for a full 12-pack. Night Jade, I'm excited to watch your stream about Black Fleet Crisis. I saw you did that. I'm looking forward to watching that and hearing your thoughts. Rest well. Hello, Blue Pig, my co-host on Watching Ewoks currently. It's been a blast so far. And Monday, you should be seeing another episode 3. The Flogs shall be out in full force. Hey, Lopsided, how's it going? Need to have you on another Star Wars stream at some point. Miss talking with you. Hope all's going well. Hey, Maxwell. Oh, yeah, and Marcel's going to join us as a guest for one. We'll have to update the thumbnail. You will? All right. With Badlands Chugs. I do know who that is. He's a really cool guy. I don't know. He's way bigger than I am. Which EU character? Volviv Mon. You know Volviv Mon from Jendi Tartakovsky's Clone Wars 2003? He's the Shistavinin Wolfman Jedi. I was very interested in him. He seemed super cool. So in my headcanon, I like to think he survived Order 66. So what about a novel about Volviv Mon trying to track down Vader and get some revenge? Maybe he goes a little dark. He's this Wolfman Jedi. He has claws and teeth. Imagine how scary a Jedi like that would be, especially a Jedi teetering on the edge. So a Volviv Mon novel where he's fighting Vader, in the underworld somewhere, as the climax for the book could be really, really interesting. Han Solo did get solo novels. But back to cleaning cans. So, yeah. But I did say chatting, so it's part of what I'm doing. Hey, Pig, I see that comment. Dual locks in Clone Wars 2003 make it better than Clone Wars 2008. Yes, they do. If Dave Filoni had thrown some dual locks in Filoni's TCW, that would have made a world of difference. But since Clone Wars 2008 was dual lock free, Clone Wars 2003 that did feature a dual lock is clearly the superior. Question for the chat: what's your favorite soda? What's everyone's favorite type of soda? Let me know. Very nice. An Amani Jedi next. That sounds really interesting. They're the little fox guys, right? The orange furred species. That I imagine that would be hard to draw fur. But man, your Ortolan Jedi is great. Your what's the species? Doug Jedi was absolutely great. I'm loving the art, man. Please give us a Jebi Jedi. Please, please, please. I've got to see a Jebi done in your art style as a Jedi. That's something I've dreamed of. Please do that. I'd make a whole video with you breaking down that art piece if you ever did. And I'd love to feature the art you did for the Ortolan and Doug on the channel, and we can talk about that at some point if you'd like, because your art style is really, really good. Which ones? The graphic novellas, the digest ones? If so, yeah, I have read them. I really love Sith Hunters, which is one of those. Vanilla agave cream right now. Sounds interesting. An Ewok is a Jedi that already exists in the EU, thanks to a Wizards of the Coast sourcebook. But this can's almost clean. Yes, indeed. Almost got this can dealt with. All right. All right. I need to drain it a bit more. But I'm at my new house right now, and I'm in the basement where my room is. So I have access to a sink literally right outside my room, which will be awesome for soda can collecting and cleaning and all of that. It'll be absolutely terrific for those purposes. Okay, there's a little bit of liquid left in this one. You want to dry the cans because water can eventually corrode soda cans over time. So you want to make sure that you don't have water sitting around the exterior of the can. It can fade it. So that's something important for any of you who actually collect soda cans, which I don't know if anyone's watching this. It's probably always Star Wars people. Is this how Matt feels talking about video board games when everyone's like Star Wars people? I don't know. I think it must be. It's very interesting. Jebi are sentient. Jebi are confirmed to be a sentient species. So, if a Jedi is riding another Jebi Jedi, that would be like Nomi Sunrider riding Thawne. One sentient riding another, which might be a little problematic. Yeah, the Japanese sodas with balls in them are called Ramune. They are so good. I have a couple of those glass bottles in my collection. If it gets dented, I take a coat hanger and insert it via the top opening, and pop out the dents that way. Also, if you put your fingers either side of the dent, in most cases you would be able to pop it back out, and all it would be is a tiny wrinkle to show it was ever dented. On the extreme dents, though, you have to go through the inside and poke it back out with like a pencil or a coat hanger or your fingers. But I've literally torn up my fingers sometimes doing that. I am a basement dweller officially. I live in my parents' basement and like Star Wars. We are all basement dwellers. Yes, we are. You're at work? Yeah, nice. Spending your lunch break watching me. Very interesting use of your time. Thank you. I appreciate it. I like having my hair long. It's nice, but it's shaved underneath, which I need to redo. But should be bald on the side for the hairstyle. But you wouldn't know because the hair covers up the sides. You can't really tell, I guess. And no, it's not a mullet. Some people have said it's a mullet. It's shaved completely at the back. It's the hairstyle where you have like the bun and bald on the sides, I guess. I don't know what that's called. When sentient writing another might be problematic. Yeah, maybe. Good quote. Glad I have that on record now. Nomi Jebi Rider. Yeah, imagine Nomi Sunrider riding a 3-headed Jebi. That would be incredible. Incredible sight for a comic panel. Tried growing my hair long, but it just turned into an afro. Well, I know a couple people who have that problem, but you know, afros are cool. Yeah. Well, that was a blunder. Did you see that? Dropped the paper towel roll into the sink. Nice little blunder. Jebi Voss. Well, Jebi is spelled Jeby. But, yeah. I don't know what Quinlan Voss would be doing with Jebbies, but I'm writing a fan fiction with Magneto Alex about Jason Solo and Tenel Ka in between Young Jedi Knights and New Jedi Order in that 6-month gap to try to show how their characterization changes and why they kind of broke up and stuff like that. Plus, Anja Galandro's in it and Lobaka, and we'll mention about Borsk Thalia being the chief of state. And the Jebi are featured in it. And some lore is given to the Jebi. It's all in line with the Essential Atlas, which the Essential Atlas established that this can's not as good. I have it over here. I was deciding between them. I'm a monster. Yeah, the Essential Atlas established that Rainbow, the planet that the Jebi live on, is in the Hapes cluster. So it's part of the Hapan government that it falls underneath, which is very interesting. So in the fanfiction, we're establishing that the Jebi are slavers. They're pirates, and they are dangerous. It may or may not lead to Anja Galandro's death. Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun one. It got like 2,500 views for some reason. It was a joke video because I was doing like these top 5 videos at the time, focused on the EU, and then Slav jokingly suggested that with the list. So I just threw it together for a joke. And then it did really well. But then some people who would watch my channel for a long time like commented on like, what is this? What is this? What are you? It was really funny. But yeah, it was interesting. I think this one's already pretty clean. All right. Dr. Thunder. How can a three-headed giraffe creature enslave people? Well, they're pretty giant. They're said to be pretty big, I think, in the original description. Like they're said to like tower over stuff in the original description from the Galaxy magazine. So they're giants, so they're physically imposing individuals. And they have giant stick-like weapons and giant prods. And since they have 12 tentacles, you can imagine that if each of them grasped a weapon, they'd be able to be quite imposing. Also, the Jebi are said to be very jovial and like prone to laughing, which just sounded wrong in the description to me. So that's going to be established to be Jebi propaganda so that people trust them more. Because, the Jebi are jovial. Well, that's what they want you to think. They're pirates. But only the Hapans know that. That's all lore that will be established and embellished on in the fanfiction, which is called Shifting Tides. Hopefully that'll get finished shortly. Here's an old one that I got at an antique store. I'm not going to do anything around the outside because cleaning old cans devalues them. But I'm going to clean around the top a little bit. But gently, because I don't want to clean the whole thing. Because that actually devalues the can. But I don't want the bottom of the can that could potentially sit atop of this one to get all messy because of it. So, also there's a little bit of the price sticker remaining. So I'm going to try to scrub that off a little bit. There we go. All right. Diet Jet Cola. All right. So we've made a little bit of a dent. There's only a little bit remaining now. All right. This is Strawberry Melon Sharp, which is the rename of Strawberry Melon Spark, which it had been named for a while. So I actually have 3 different versions of this can because they kept changing the design slightly. Excuse my dog barking in the background. But if you're wondering how I get the last droplets of water out after shaking it, because it can't get all of it out, it eventually kind of airs out. The water evaporates eventually. So the water, any tiny residual of water will eventually evaporate out of the can. But yeah, that's almost like a little science lesson. So if everyone's watching and paying attention, you might learn something in one of my videos, which would be incredible. I'd be surprised about what? Powerful creature in the Star Wars galaxy that they are. Waru might be a little stronger though, but only by a little. This can's pretty sticky around the outside because I was eating some kind of cheesy food while I drank this. So I'm definitely going to want to clean the exterior of this can. If you had to name one positive thing about your least favorite Star Wars story, what would it be? My least favorite Star Wars story is Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void. Mainly because the main character, Lenore Brock, is like a cardboard cutout and has no character development at all. She's genuinely one of the worst characters I've had to read about. And she's the protagonist, which is not a good sign. But the good part of that story is her brother, who's the antagonist, and his name is Dalian Brock. And Dalian Brock is an interesting character. Um, sorry, just had to sneeze there for a second. Dalian Brock's a really interesting character as the antagonist, and Dalian Brock is an interesting villain. Actually, I found myself rooting for Dalian halfway through the story. He's this fanatic, and he doesn't want to use the Force. So even though he's Force sensitive, he might be the only character in Star Wars who refuses to use it. And I found that very interesting. He's very nuanced, and unlike his sister, actually goes through character development and change, and is somewhat compelling. So although the story is bland and filler, and the protagonist is awful in Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void, the antagonist is actually pretty good. And there's a character in it called Trey-Sana, who's like the smuggler rogue with a heart of gold type of character. He's kind of interesting as well. He's funny, comedic, charming. So I didn't want him to die, which he didn't. So I was happy about that. But there was a fake out. He was the only character I really cared about at the time, because the antagonist is still unlikable. Trilogy, the EU may not have happened to the extent that it did. Yeah, that's true. Oh, and that's, you're saying it's your least favorite Star Wars story. But that's a positive. Yeah. Star Wars itself, Blue Pig. Star Wars itself might not exist today without the Thrawn trilogy doing well. More boring than Kara Holt? I'd say so. It's a toss-up, though, because Lenore Brock is so terrible as a character. So terrible. But yeah. Star Wars Tale, a couple of the stories are good. Yeah, Star Wars Tales is pretty bad. For example, my dog's barking. Apologies for that. There is a Star Wars story called Hate Leads to Lollipops. It's part of Star Wars Tales, which Maxwell hates, as well as myself, for most of them. Some Star Wars Tales stories are good, but a majority of them are quite disappointing. And Hate Leads to Lollipops is one of those. And the positive of Hate Leads to Lollipops is it shows that Filoni's interpretation of Darth Maul as a character and his backstory is not the worst interpretation of Darth Maul's backstory and origin that there could be. Hard to disagree on that. Yeah, the prequels would have happened regardless. Maybe. But I do think Star Wars, 15 years after it had originally come out, being at the top of New York Times best-selling list, definitely made it more likely that George Lucas made the prequels, because it showed that there was still interest in a franchise that was perceived to be dead by toy lines, by comic book publishers, by George Lucas himself. I think it's very important that the Thrawn trilogy was able to rocket up the charts. And I have a friend who is interested in reading it. So hopefully that's someone else who will get into the EU through the Thrawn trilogy. Must return to your labors. Have fun hand cleaning. I am. Hey, Fabe, how's it going? My favorite Swede. Hate Leads to Lollipops is one of the least offensive comedic tale stories. Yeah, Melvin Fett exists. I agree, Fabe. That's exactly my point. Yeah, for sure. This is one of the League of Legends limited edition Coca-Cola can designs here. It's quite a good can. I like the art for it. It's pretty cool. Yeah. I have a couple more of those. I got 4 out of 5. There was one that I just wasn't able to find. The one I wasn't able to find had pink hair on the character. I don't know League of Legends, so I don't know the characters, if these are characters. But there's a pink one that I never was able to pick up. But so I have 4 out of 5 on the set as a whole. Orange Jet mini can, Walmart's generic soda brand. For Fabe and Maxwell, or Fabe who just joined, do you enjoy my shirt? What my shirt says here? I know you're a huge Jason Solo fan. Yeah, Melvin Fett is awful. It is shocking that got past the publishers. I really like Mountain Dew personally. I think it's a great flavor. Baja Blast is also great. Sprite, a lemon lime soda flavor. I love Coca-Cola Lime, which is a lime cola. You can get it on freestyle machines, and it was a limited edition in cans and bottles back in the early 2000s. But lime Coca-Cola is really, really good. It might be in Europe now, or at least lime Coke Zero. But I'm not a big fan of the Zeros, which the Zeros are what are mainly marketed and pushed in Europe, where you're at. So they like to sell you the sweetener stuff rather than the sugar stuff, because European countries really like to have their obesity levels down on average compared with the rest of the world. But I'd rather have the choice to drink sugar if I preferred. But now we're getting into soda politics, clearly. But yeah, try to find lime Coke if you can. That's a good one. I like Mountain Dew, Sprite as well. There's a lot of good flavors. I typically like sweeter flavors, like an orange soda is always, you can't go wrong with an orange soda, in my opinion. I was never particularly fond of grape sodas, though. I didn't love it. You've had Coke Lime for at least 7 years there? Yeah, I thought it was back in European countries. Is it only the Zero, or do you have the regular as well? Because it was the early 2000s, I want to say 2007, 2008, where Lime Coke was available in cans and bottles in the States. Now it's only available at freestyle fountain machines. But I know Lime Coke Zero is maybe available in Australia and Europe still. Do you have regular there still? It's unfortunate we don't have it here still, because I would have loved to buy more of it. I just love Coke Lime so much. It's a really good flavor. Speaking of fruit-flavored colas, Little Caesars, a pizza place here in the States, just came out with a Pepsi pineapple flavor, which was released a couple years ago. But what's really cool about the new can design is that the Little Caesars mascot is on the can, which is really, really unique and cool. But yeah, we're cruising along now. Almost gotten to the end of our cleaning here. Only Coke Lime Zero. Yeah, that's what I figured. Yep. Do you like it? Have you tried it? What's your favorite flavor of soda, Fabe? All right, this is the new Sprite 16-ounce can design. Pretty cool. Excuse me. Here's a Brazilian flavor of Guarana Antarctica. Which the Guarana berry is a Brazilian berry. I have another older design of Guarana Antarctica from like 2017, but this is the newer design. It was actually brought back to me by my friend's older sisters who went over to visit Brazil, so it was really thoughtful of them. And now I have the newest design for my collection with the Brazilian flag right there. I know my good friend Sam, aka Cancel Me, part of the Star Wars fandom. He'll maybe appreciate this, as he is Brazilian. Had him on a few videos. Need to get him back at some point too. Oh man, there's just so many guests. There's so many people in the EU fandom, and I just want to have them all on videos like all the time. Like I've not had Fabi on anything yet. I had Maxwell on one thing, right? Maxwell, you were on the last live stream I did, right? Like a month ago? I think so, right? where we talked about like my bad Star Wars art. Yeah, you were on that. And you had a chance to show off a couple of your super cool art pieces in that video as well, I think. Like your actual good ones. Have I read any non-Star Wars comics? Yeah, I've read mostly Marvel comics outside of Star Wars. Stuff like Planet Hulk, mostly like the greatest hits, like stuff that everyone would recommend. Is mainly the stuff I was reading. The stuff that was thought of as being the best. I read some MCU tie-in comics, but those were really bad for the most part. I read a lot of the Ghost Rider run, a lot of the original Werewolf by Night run, the original Moon Knight run, the original Ghost Rider run. Then I read some of the newer Ghost Rider, Werewolf by Night, and Moon Knight runs. All of that stuff was really good. I just really like the occult side of Marvel. I liked Marvel Zombies too. That was pretty fun. Then I read, what were the ape ones called? Marvel Apes. Yeah, I read those. Those were pretty fun too. Kind of stupid, but but really fun. Like with all the 8 variants of Marvel superheroes, it was pretty cool. I liked it at least. Then I read some of the old animal themed Marvel comics, like Captain America or Bruce Bunny Hulk. Those old runs. I think those weren't old Howard the Duck comics. What were they? I don't remember, but I read some of those. I read some of the original Captain America and Spider-Man run, like the old ones. And then I read a couple Avengers stuff here and there, mostly like Avengers crossovers with the X-Men or Avengers when they were fighting like Thanos or Galactus or Kang. I read like those runs here and there sporadically, just like to prepare myself for the movies and stuff like that. I read Apocalypse, like the X-Men run, the Dark Phoenix X-Men run. I read a little bit of Inhumans as well. There's some pretty good stuff there. I'm trying to think what else I read. I think I read a Man-Thing, like 6-issue series or something like that. Like a mini series with Man-Thing. I don't remember what era it was from. I read some of the new, or the recent, I should say, comics like Miss Marvel, stuff like that. I think Miss Marvel as a comic run is completely overrated, though. I just didn't find it to be particularly enjoyable. Awesome. Yeah. Tie-in novels are typically thought of as being terrible as well. Like the MCU tie-in novels. I think Revenge of the Sith is one of the few movie tie-in novels that's like actually loved and was well received, because most like motion picture tie-in books are like just really like made for a quick buck. So not a lot of writing or care goes into it. So it's like, why would I read what has just come out as a movie, you know? Hey, Iron, how's it going? Just cleaning some soda cans for my collection. Especially now that I live down in the south where insects run rampant, because we wouldn't want sweet, sticky substance residue attracting any creepy crawlers. Hey, Ryder, how's it going? Thank you. I appreciate it. And yours. Are you going to put that turtle biting the kid's leg on YouTube from earlier today? You're going to put that up? That would be great. You totally should. That's drained. All right. For 5 years, people were hyping it up as one of the greatest comics of all time, but it's just a typical. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't even say it's like. It's not even like. It just feels really like like a modern comic, like kind of uninspired, I guess. But the first comics I ever read were Star Wars comics. So the Marvel comics I read were only after that. Because I was introduced to comic books via Star Wars. When I was a little kid, I thought comic books are for kids. Like I was a kid, but I was reading books, so I was like, "Oh, comic books, what are? Oh, you for little like 5-year-olds." But then I didn't realize that there were actually so much gritty, epic, well-written stories in comic book literature. And now I'm like the biggest advocate for comic books are literature. Because comic books are so super cool and tell just as good stories as books do. So now I'm a big advocate for comic books. But when I was a little kid, I wasn't a fan. So it was the Star Wars EU where I started reading comics to understand the story in between the novels that got me into becoming a comic book fan. So props to the EU for that. You put the turtle video up already? That's awesome. Fabe, are cockroaches real? I've seen them already, so I'd say they are. I'm gonna skip Liv's comment. Are a myth invented by the CIA? Maybe so. That's awesome. If you hear my dog whining in the background, apologies for that. He is downstairs with me currently, and he wants to go upstairs. But he shouldn't be upstairs because he was just doing naughty things like trying to get downstairs, which we don't want him to do because it'll hurt his back. He's a dachshund, so back problems, so we're constantly worried about him hurting himself. And so when he was upstairs, he was constantly trying to get downstairs. But now that he's downstairs, he wants upstairs because he's a dog, and dogs don't know what's best for them. All right, there's a little bit of residue up here, so I'm just gonna scrub that off, and then we've cleaned all of the cans. And all of them have cleaned up really well except for the cream soda can, which I'm gonna try to deal with that. The doggy, yes indeed, the doggy. I can't remember what I was saying last about comic books. I read that recent comic book that came out where it was like the Eternals and the X-Men and the Avengers were all fighting. What was that called again? I can't remember, but it was pretty cool. Well, do you want me to send it in Noah's server? No, there's several more. This is the third or fourth overall because I collect soda cans. There's one where I show my entire collection from January, or maybe I did that in December. I don't remember. But yeah, thanks to everyone for joining me in the comments to watch me clean cans. That's the last one done. And I guess I'll wrap it up here. So thanks to everyone for joining me for this, for talking Star Wars, for talking comic books, for talking soda cans. Appreciate everyone taking a second out of their day to make a tedious task more enjoyable, because you made cleaning these cans more enjoyable to have a discussion while doing it. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.